Hey, welcome back to my channel. Now, this is a reaction video, right? And so I just watched the digital trends video on the new Hisense U8H, and I'm not going to get into like extreme detail on his particular video, but what I will say is I call BS on a lot of it, and the reason I say that is because I've owned a Hisense television since launch in 2020, and it's the Hisense H9G. Now, I want to point out that the industry does have its market leaders: Sony, Samsung, LG, right? And then you have your mid-tier brands at this point, which is, at my opinion, the top is Hisense, and then TCL, and then you have some other brands in there. And when I say the industry right now, I'm talking about the American industry, right? Because you can argue Philips is in there at the top and stuff like that, and in other places within the world, and there's definitely other brands, Skyward and stuff like that, that are in those other places of the world. But in the American market, you have Sony and LG and Samsung. They've been the top three for a long time. LG has owned OLED until this year. Sony has owned the LCD panel, and then Samsung has carved itself a consistent niche of the most selling television because of their punchy colors with the QLED brand. And they've done that for a while. But anyway, let's get back to the reaction here. And so the reason I wanted to respond to this is because back in 2020, Caleb also did a video on the TCL versus the H9G at the time, and it was completely biased. It was completely biased, to the point, I commented on that video at the time, was like, hey, I own this television, just posted a video, I think it's 20,000 views or something like that. I'm a small channel, right? And that television is still in my setup today. Matter of fact, I posted a video about 7 months ago, which was my new console setup. And the Hisense H9G is still my current television on that console setup, even though I have the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X at this point. A company like Hisense is like Kia and Hyundai, right? And I'll give you this comparison, right? The Kia and the Hyundai over the last 5 to 10 years have become one of the most sold brands in America because of value proposition. Not because they're the Lexus and the Sony and the Mercedes-Benz, but because every Kia you buy has Bluetooth, has the sunroof, has the touchscreen navigation, has all of these features at $20,000, $30,000 for the Hyundai. And then the cars that they compare with are the $50,000 M3 and not M3, that's a bad, not the M3, 3 Series, right? 3 Series, and even 5 Series, and BMW. And so you're getting all the same features. You're getting all the same quality. You're getting the performance. You're getting the gas mileage. You're getting even the power sometimes. But what you lack is, that high quality wood grain on the dash, right? It's plastic. It looks really nice, but it's not wood grain, right? And so you have these purists that will come around and say, "Oh, that car's trash," And Caleb's, this TV it marks all the boxes on paper, but there's some things that, right? But the problem with that analogy is that you're looking at it from I see every television on the market standpoint and viewpoint and vantage point from Caleb's standpoint, because he's a great guy and he does produce some really great reviews, and he will see every single television. He will fly out to New Jersey and see the Samsung or the, he will fly over, and see the A95K. He will get review samples of all these different televisions, right? And so he's going to look at that Hisense from that vantage point. I see all of these high-end televisions at the $4,000 mark, at the $3,000 mark, and then I'm going to come down here at this $1,100 and $1,200 mark and be like, it marks, it checks box on paper, but blah, blah, blah. That's a horrible vantage point. It's horrible. And the reason is because at $1,100 and $1,200, that TV is going to beat the wheels off of some of these other televisions. It's going to give you every feature that's available on the market, and it's going to give it to you in a budget price. And literally, the only reason the Hisense brand is not a top player is because of market impression and public opinion. Last year's Samsung's top LCD side by side with the Hisense, and you can go to HDTV Test and FOMO, and all of those channels, and they put that Hisense up against that Samsung last year, and the Hisense came out on top with black levels, all of those different things last year, right? And so you have to be careful, because right now these groups have already deemed the Sony A95K as the TV of the year. And it may be the most technologically advanced television of the year. That doesn't make it necessarily the TV of the year, because when you start looking at things like this TV is the most accurate, it is the most, film mode accurate, it gives you the best audio quality, this is the best TV of the year. That may be true, again, in regards to technology, but 95% of the market can't afford it. And so that is a huge, I do these videos all the time of value products that people can afford that will give you, the same, if not close to the same experience. Of course, it's never going to be the same experience because there's more R&D in these other products. That's why they cost more, right? That's why the Sony A95K costs $4,000. The R&D and marketing budget is 3 times, 4 times, 5 times that of the Hisense, right? And so what they're saying is valid. It may be the most technologically sound television on the market. The A95K is that guy. He's him, as they would say, right? But no one can afford it. And when I say no one, I mean the mass population. I'm sitting here and I work a very nice job. I get a very nice salary. And I can't just go out and go buy the Sony A95K. I just can't. As a consumer, I have to weigh my options, right? Because I have a family and I have all these different things, and these things aren't sent to me, so I can't say that. Unless you have a television sitting on the wall, the Samsung S95B sitting next to the Sony A95K, sitting next to the X95K, the Sony X95K, which is the LCD panel that they had listed there. Unless you have those televisions sitting right next to you on the wall, you have no clue what they look like individually in comparison. You're going to get that LG G2, which I still think is the best television for most of you to buy. I don't care what competitions they do and come down the pipeline with. When it comes to pure technology, brand awareness, brand consistency, features to cost, the LG G2, in my opinion, is still the best television of the year for you, the consumer. Now, for people that review these televisions and they're looking at the technical specs, the Delta E variant of color correction of this blue compared to this blue is slightly better. That does not matter for you, the consumer, unless you live in that niche where it does. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that is a very, very small niche. And that is why you cannot get away from data. Data will tell you that the majority of people buy the Samsung QLED television because of the color is punchy and it's a pretty picture. On the back end, it does not take away from the Sony being technologically more advanced. It does not take away from the LG being the most complete television. But you, the consumer, want to have a nice picture. And at the end of the day, that is what matters. And nice picture does not mean accurate picture. It means when I look at that picture, it makes me feel good. And so I will caution you against that review and that initial negative response to the television, because that is such a biased response to that television. It was nauseating to watch. It was like, let me set this up on paper. This is a great television. Let me tell everybody. But then let me tell you why you should go back and buy the Sony A95K. Like, those are apples to oranges, and they should never be compared whatsoever. They should never even be in the same conversation because of cost, other than the fact that if you buy that Hisense, you will be happy and you will pay a fourth of what you will pay for that Sony. Now, again, I hate when people will hear something like this reaction and be like, the Sony by far is the better TV. Yes. Yes, it is. And please listen. I'm saying that, but I'm saying that that does not mean that this Hisense U8H is not going to be a hell of a television, and that you would be just as happy for the majority of you with the U8H. Keep in mind the people that buy the Sony A95K because they are aware of those different discrepancies, that television will always be better and it will always be technologically more advanced. It's a QD OLED panel. Of course, it's going to be better than an LCD. Like, stop it. Like, that's not even an argument, right? But that does not mean that that Hisense should not sit on the majority of your television stands through the remainder of this year. There is a product for everyone. There is a television brand for everyone. And again, if Hisense was not a non-American popular opinion brand, Hisense, TCL, Vizio are, those are those televisions, and I think Vizio's dying, but that's another video that I think I'm going to make. Those are those brands that people are kind of like, I'm not sure I should buy that yet. Or, I heard they spy on us. I heard they steal your information. And I want to be 100% clear with you, from being a professional in the corporate retail space, every company to some extent uses direct marketing and has impressions of your activity to be able to sell to you. That is the modern world. And so there is not a brand that you can get away from that does. Even YouTube right now, the algorithm is telling you what to watch based on your activity and what you watched yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before. So is there validity to those brands steal our information? Every brand does. Like, there's not a brand on the market right now that does not get the impressions of your activity on the internet and use that to sell you a product. That is how direct marketing, digital marketing works in 2022. And there's no way for you to get away from it unless you disconnect from the internet. And so since you're watching this video, you haven't done that. So your information's out there. And so again, this is a ramble, a vent, man, why are you misleading people and trying to sell them away from this brand? The Hisense brand is the fastest growing brand in America right now, and there is a reason for it. And so I will tell you, if you are a budget buyer, and when I say budget, I don't mean that you're broke or you're cheap. I'm saying that you are sitting and you're looking at $1,000 to $2,000 or $500 to $1,500, and that is my budget for the television that I'm going to buy, and I'm looking for the best television within that spot. You will buy a Hisense and you will be happy. And this is without me even touching it. This is from me being a user of the Hisense brand for the last 2 years and being extremely excited about it. And before I get out of here, my ramble keeps going. Before I get out of here, the things that I like about the Hisense is the user interface. Even though it is glitchy from time to time, it is, but it's $1,100. And the TV when I bought it was $600, and it was the best TV that year. And then the price went up because it broke the market and people kept buying it. So user interface, I like the user interface, even though sometimes it's glitchy. It's the same Android or Google, depending on which one you have. The ability for you to be able to watch a stream, like to watch something like Hulu, and take that stream and see a crystal clear picture is better than what I see on my Samsung S95B. It's Dolby Vision gaming, 4K 60. Watch the video. It looks good, right? And then black levels. Black levels are OLED black levels. This is not, again, I understand my place in the market right now. I'm a very small channel, but being a small channel, just like being a Kia and a Hyundai and a Vizio and a TCL and a Hisense, I have to offer you value. And so I have to tell you accurate information that makes sense for you to start trusting me enough for my channel to grow. I'm not at the level where no matter what I put out there, you're going to watch it. And so I'll put myself on the sword on this and say, this is a brand that makes a good product, and you should consider it if you are budget shopping. Even if you're not budget shopping, compare it to some of those other televisions and keep an open mind. But that's it. As always, stay cozy in that crazy world, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.